The potential now with social media, as I say, the reason that we go there as business owners is because that's where people are. We go to people and we meet them where they are. And right now, the number of people using social media, particularly the platforms, Facebook and Instagram, is absolutely enormous. And I think so to ensure that you're not being left behind, to ensure that you get the opportunity to meet your clients and your customers where they are, where they're spending their time right now, is ultimately the way that you're going to continue to grow and to succeed as well.
Welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast, where we guide natural health and wellness experts through the pitfalls of marketing. Each episode, you'll learn simple, effective, easily actionable, and heart-centered marketing strategies. And here's your host, Angus Pyke.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends, and welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast. Today, I'm joined by Davey. Now, Jake's a former high school French and Spanish teacher who now helps entrepreneurs, business owners just like us, use Instagram to become the go-to authority in their niche or in their community. Now, when Jake's not traveling around the globe helping business owners and entrepreneurs, you probably find Jake riding his bike, devouring personal development content, or probably eating something sweet. We'll have to talk about that in a moment as well. Now, today we're going to be talking all about why you should be considering using Instagram as the main platform for your business. Jake, welcome to the show.
Angus, thank you so much. Delighted to be here. I really appreciate the invitation. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting. As I was mentioning to you just before we started here, I've been listening to your new podcast. In fact, this episode is going to go across both of them as well. So, and we'll talk to our listeners as well, because I think it's going to, your podcast is going to be one that they want to whack on their regular listen. I want to hear a little bit more about this transition from kind of French and Spanish teaching to what you're doing now. Can you give us a little bit of a background story?
Sure. So I worked as a teacher for 8 years and really loved the teaching, absolutely loved that, but just found it almost quite restrictive in terms of being in one place consistently, not quite having the flexibility that you want, and really just looking to have a bit more freedom and impact a wider people, rather than just the 30 or so people in the classroom and people in the school, but have a wider impact and actually a global impact as well. It was then that I came across people online who were into online marketing. Obviously, there was a great rise within social media with Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and other platforms and such. And really through a series of courses and coming across mentors as well, that sort of opened up my eyes to the power, the potential really of online social media. Not just for, it's not just for kids, it's not just for children. It's certainly not anymore. It is a huge opportunity to reach a global audience. And that is what really excites me. I still feel that I have, thankfully, the opportunity to teach through what I do now. Very different format and very different audience as well. But still, it's a great pleasure. And as I say, any way that I can help entrepreneurs, business owners ultimately generate more leads for their business, be seen as an authority within their particular niche and their market as well, I just think is a great opportunity.
There's an ongoing conversation that I have that when it comes to kind of social media, that it's not really, particularly for the kind of bricks and mortar businesses that are kind of listening to this now, that, look, it's all fun and well, but it's, the end result, what I want with my community outreach is I kind of often talk about I want bums on seats. Like I want the phone ringing as well. And very few practitioners have been able to really master that. They've either dived in there, spent an enormous amount of time or energy and both for very little kind of results as well. Have you seen kind of instances where social media, Instagram we're going to talk about today, can be a useful tool for small businesses?
Absolutely. I've got to say, I think it should be a feature anyway of any business now, realistically, whether it's a long-standing business, if it's bricks and mortar business. Of course, now increasingly we're having more and more online businesses, but I think to move with the times and really to embrace the change, which is always happening, you need to be prepared for that. And I think for businesses that aren't using online or any form of online, they are eventually going to be left behind. And so the potential now with social media, as I say, the reason that we go there as business owners is because that's where people are. We go to people and we meet them where they are. And right now, the number of people using social media, particularly the platforms, Facebook and Instagram, is absolutely enormous. And I think so, to ensure that you're not being left behind, to ensure that you get the opportunity to meet your clients and your customers where they are, where they're spending their time right now, is ultimately the way that you're going to continue to grow and to succeed as well.
You're, Jake, particularly kind of bullish about Instagram. It's lots of courses that you teach about Instagram. Why Instagram as opposed to LinkedIn, as opposed to Facebook, any of the other kind of platforms?
Sure. First thing I'd say is that each of the platforms undoubtedly has its own place. And they all almost have a separate purpose. LinkedIn seems very, I don't want to use the word corporate, but it's definitely intentional for business people with a very specific and clear directions to where they're going. Facebook, I almost tie Facebook and Instagram together. Facebook and Instagram have an enormous reach. There's over 2 billion users now of Facebook. Last year, over 1 billion users on Instagram using that platform monthly. And it continues to grow at a rate of around an additional 100 million every 4 months or so. So it really is hugely, hugely on the rise. A few reasons why I really like Instagram, and I think it's growing so much at the moment. The first of all, I think it's got an incredibly bright future. It was bought by Facebook back in 2013. I think it was about 6 years ago or so. And at the time they paid, I think it was $1 billion for it. And people said they were crazy. Now it's worth, I think, 100 times that. So the 100x return on their investment for Facebook, which is quite remarkable. And it's no surprise with the investment that they're putting in, the features that are available there, the launch of Instagram TV within the last 18 months or so. Instagram Stories is a massive feature, which was sort of borrowed, if you like, from Snapchat and other social media platforms. So there are a couple of the big reasons. Another reason as well is that it's I would say almost exclusively mobile. And so if you're looking to reach your audience and connect with people wherever they are, we all right now know where our mobile phone is. Chances are that people are listening to this on their mobile phone, or if not, then it's within arm's reach. And if it's not, you're looking around for it. So the opportunity to find your audience and connect with people, again, it comes back to connecting with people where they are, where they're spending their time. And there are so many reasons there with the investment that Facebook put into it, the growth of the platform, the number of users, ultimately the fact that you can reach anybody, and it's a mobile platform. Even the fact now that since being taken over by Facebook, you can now run ads on the platform as well. The potential is massive. It's just harnessing, I think, that potential and having real clarity on exactly what it is that you want to use the platform for.
So let's get a little strategic. Let's assume that I'm opening up a practice. I'm a new chiropractor that's set up in town, and I'm going to open up my Instagram account. Should I open up the Instagram account in my name, Angus Pyke, or my practice name that's Life Chiropractic? Do you have some thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think it completely comes down to what the end goal is that you're looking to achieve. Are you looking to position yourself as the expert and perhaps build the personal brand? Or instead, are you looking to position the practice and perhaps you are one facet, one element of that? And I think no matter whether you are starting a new practice or if it's somebody who's listening who has an existing practice, as with every one of your marketing intentions, when you go into sales, even the direction of your business, it all comes down to what's the actual desired end result that I'm looking for. And once you're very clear on that, I would suggest that would certainly determine, first of all, if you go down the personal brand or the actual branding your practice route.
Got it. So if I was likely to have kind of multiple practitioners, and that's the thought there too, this probably makes no sense in it being kind of called Angus Pyke to brand across the kind of business wise there. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have some thoughts about what should, because I look across different bios now and I see kind of these link tree things and different. What does a good bio have in it?
That's a great question. For me, there's 5 elements of a great bio. And let me sort of break these down for you. So the first one is the actual Instagram handle. Okay. Now the Instagram handle is like your fingerprint. It's unique. So on the Instagram platform, there can only be one Instagram handle, and that's unique to you. Now, ideally, you want to get that as close as possible to your practice name, your personal name, but something that is really, really easy to read, easy to see, and it clearly identifies you. Or if it's not a personal brand, it's a business brand, it clearly identifies what you do and what service you offer. The second thing then is that it's the actual name of your account. So not the handle, the name of your account instead. Okay. Now there could be multiple people with the same name. There could be many Jake Davies, Angus, Pyke, John Smith, whoever that may be. But it's ultimately having the name of your account and making it very, very clear who you are, and again what you do, and you can include all of that within the name of the account. So that's the second thing. The third is your profile image. Now, the profile image, I would suggest if you're a personal brand, I've been looking at your website, Angus, and the image that you have on your website would be perfect. It's you facing the camera, very, very clear image, smiling, teeth, hands visible. I know it sounds crazy, but these things, like it's been tested, these things work really, really well. It just shows that you're open, friendly, it almost like willing to sort of have a conversation and very approachable. If you're a brand, I would suggest a logo, a clear logo, and one that fills the whole space. Because different to Facebook, different to Twitter, is that link or that image, I would say, is not clickable. So it can't be expanded any larger. So you want to make sure you fill in the whole space and it's very, very clear. Step 4 is your actual bio itself and the description. Now, I would suggest that within the description, you clearly outline what you do, but who specifically you serve, okay? Because it comes back to what you can do for other people. So who specifically you serve. If you have a big presence, say, on YouTube, if you have a podcast as you do yourself, or perhaps if you want to direct people to a physical practice, then that is your opportunity to give your headline, your sort of KPIs, your big numbers, the big sort of headline, exciting stats that's going to attract people to you and draw people in. And then the fifth point is the link in your bio. So you mentioned Linktree already. Great tool, fantastic tool to give people the option of various different places that they may go to. I would suggest it doesn't necessarily matter whether you're using Linktree or if you're just using a simple strategy such as directing people to, say, an opt-in page where you can start to collect their data, their name and email address, or if you're sending them to a booking form. But you will have a clear strategy. I would trust that you have within your marketing a clear strategy, and that is where you're going to send people to using the link in your bio as well. So those 5 things together, I think, would form a perfect bio for you.
Yeah, that's a killer. Like if you happen to hit stop now, then just head on over to your Instagram and follow those kind of 5 steps through there as well. Can you explain perhaps to some of our audience that might not, because I kind of dropped in this concept of Linktree. What is Linktree? Sure. Why would someone use it? What might it be valuable, and why might we choose to just keep things simpler?
Sure. So within Instagram, for a very long time, there was only one opportunity where you could have what we call an external link and give people the opportunity to leave Instagram by clicking a link that you put in there. If they click that, then it will give them an opportunity to leave Instagram. There are now 2 or 3 other ways and other opportunities for you to actually take people off Instagram onto different websites. But originally, Instagram only wanted one specific, it really wanted to keep people on the platform. Now, Linktree is a great tool. I'm not sure if I think you probably know more than I do about it, Angus, whether it's free to use and such. I'm sure it will have that option. But what it does is it allows you to, when somebody clicks through there, it actually gives them a variety of different places to go. So you're not restricted to just one link directing people to one specific platform. Instead, it's one link which then takes people to almost another holding page or landing page, which says, what do you want to do next? Do you want to go to the website? Do you want to listen to the podcast? Do you want to book an appointment? Do you want to watch our free training? And it gives you a variety of different options, all encapsulated within that one particular link. If you're comfortable with that, fantastic. I would suggest absolutely go ahead and use it. But if you're very, very clear and you want to just get started and you want to start seeing traction with the platform, I think using a simple link either to say an opt-in page or a lead page where you might collect a name and email address or phone number, or perhaps to a website or booking form, that would work equally well for now.
Yeah, I think, Jack, I know from my practice side, we just have the link going back over to the practice to our homepage through there. And I certainly could be way more sophisticated with that. But I know for ADIO Media, as you mentioned beforehand, then there is, you kind of click on that. It was, hey, do you want to listen to the full episode of the podcast? Do you want to find out more about the mobile video blueprint? Do you want to work with me? So there's a couple of different options there as well. But I would think with many of our listeners, if you're thinking about it just for your practice, then, keeping it simple is probably what most of us, we're going to do from there too. So we've got our bio set up, we've got our name, our handle, all those kind of things. And now we come to this whole concept of what to post, how often to post, all of those kind of things there that for many of us, we just end up going into overwhelm because, no one tends to engage with me. I've still got 8 people following them and 3 of them are my 2 sisters and my mum. So can we get into this whole idea of growing our Instagram?
Yeah, absolutely. So for a long time now, I'd say probably for the last 3 years or so that I've been doing this, I've fallen consistently on what I call the 3C process.
Yeah.
And every single time that I go onto Instagram myself, if I'm discussing it with my team, with clients as well, I always refer back to the 3C process because I think that's a real easy thing to remember. The 3C process is formed of, first of all, the first C, that's the letter C, is for content. And ultimately, it's high quality, engaging content that other people want to see. And that's really important. It's not a case of, we're not giving people what we think they need. We are giving people what they want. That's essentially it. We're listening and we're giving people what they want. Now, for many people, not necessarily the listeners here, but for many people, the idea of social media is that it's all about me. It's me. But I almost want to flip that with your content and make it more social media. It's about, what do you, as my audience, as my ideal client, as my ideal customer, what do you want to see? Because people go onto social media to be entertained, to be educated, for a distraction from their work, from, dare I say, family, from the partner, for a few moments. And it's giving people what they want that's going to draw them in so they want to see more. If you're looking for ideas for that and suggestions for that, I would always suggest a great way to start is simply do a search on Instagram and look at, say, people within your niche, within your market, within your space. Doesn't have to be in your local area, but on a global scale, who are doing it really well. So if you find a practice, say chiropractors or other natural healing, and you find them anywhere in the world and they're doing something really well with their content that you like, I would suggest that that's a great opportunity for you to model what they're doing, for you to get started. It provides a base for you while you're growing your confidence. Now, the second C, oh, sorry.
No. Well, with regard to that too, where's the, or is there no boundary between, as a sharing content? So we're using the chiropractic example that we talked about beforehand.
Sure.
And so therefore, look, as a chiropractor, what we have to offer my community is all tips around health and well-being, particularly related to spine, posture, nerve system, those kind of things there too. Yeah. But some of what my audience wants to see is kind of, cute photos, cute quotes that might not necessarily be, who doesn't love a cat video? But so where's the boundary between, okay, they want to see cat videos, for instance, or maybe it's just me that wants to see cat videos. Where's the boundary between that and me sharing very kind of work-related sort of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would just there's no harm in sharing, say, work-related content. Absolutely. I mean, it's a business profile at the end of the day, but it's very much about marketing. At no stage are we looking at selling on social media. Social media is all about the marketing. Once we get, say, building our email list, or if we're getting people on the phone or into the practice, that's where the selling conversation happens in private. But the marketing is about the end result. It's about getting people excited about what you do, about the opportunities that they would have from working with you, and ultimately, it's giving people, it's giving that end result. What do they get as a result of working with you, of being part of your community? So it doesn't necessarily have to be the cat videos, although I agree with you. Who doesn't like a good cat video on Instagram? But it can be anything from, say, quotes, for example. Inspirational quotes, motivational quotes work really, really well. Infographics at the moment work fantastically well. as a very light-hearted, casual way for people to actually learn and engage with new content, have a little bit of new learning, but at the same time, it's not kind of forced upon them. I would certainly encourage those of your listeners that are more confident and more comfortable, say, in front of the camera, to actually invest a little bit of time in perhaps creating some content and shooting some videos. I know that you're a big advocate for video, and I think the statistic is something like by 2021, 80% of everything consumed online is going to be video content. So again, it's one of those things that I think we all need to embrace. And there are steps, to build up to the confidence level where you do that. But I think just getting into that position where, as well as giving people what they want, it's also about letting people see the real you. You can't hide that. And letting people see you, engage with you, breaking down that fourth wall, which Instagram does really, really well because it's so visual and allows people to engage with you on a different level as well.
Can you give me an example of what that might look like? The practitioners out there at the moment going, okay, I get that. What should I be sharing that might help my audience get to know me a little bit better?
Sure. So there's a variety of things. When it comes to with regarding content more generally, if I'm advising clients, I always advise them to look at, say, the 5 major messages within their business, within their offer and their service. So what are the 5 major things that you discuss on a regular basis? So say with a chiropractor, it may be something, again, forgive me because it's not really my area of expertise, but it could be linked to the spine, for example, nervous system as an example. It could be to do with sleep or water or nutrition or exercise, all these different things. But I'd focus on the 5 major messages. So your content generally is built around those 5 major messages, just told in very different ways. With regards breaking down that fourth wall and engaging with people, again, it comes down to the individual. If you're comfortable speaking to the camera and showing a little bit about yourself, live video is a fantastic way of doing that. And it could be simple things within the practice in terms of, and again, you can link live video into stories as well. A day in the life, what the experience is like when people come into the practice, what they can expect. It could be meet the team. It could be some of the things that you're going to get to experience when you come in and meet us. It might be a tour of the particular space, or new equipment that's coming, or new clients, or success stories, all these different things, testimonials from people that you've spoken with. It could be interviews with people on a weekly basis, maybe finding a theme that you go through on a weekly basis as well, just to ease and tease out that content from you, so it seems a little bit more natural and a bit easier to go through and deliver.
Yeah, I'm in terms of a takeaway for me, I love that concept of 5 major messages as well, because I can see how that would really help in terms of with content creation, which is, one of the other big challenges. Okay, I'm sitting now in front of my phone, all of a sudden I've got mind blank. All right, one of the 5 major conversations, and as a chiropractor, it might be, hey, listen, the things I really want to talk about are, spine, posture, headaches, sciatica, and athletic performance. Would that be right? That it's those kind of topics there as well?
Absolutely. I think that makes an awful lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you could actually further that one more. I'd sort of take this to another level, where each of those 5 major messages is told from a different point of view. This is where you're getting into the territory of actually being able to create content for a whole month. If you've got 5 major messages and let's say 5 different perspectives that you tell that story from, then all of a sudden you have 5 by 5, which is 25 days worth of content. So if I gave you an example, I do it with, say, with Instagram, for example. One of the big things that I might talk to people about when using Instagram and growing their audience would be, say, hashtags, which we mentioned a little bit earlier. So I might talk about hashtags. If that was one of my 5 major messages, hashtags, I might talk about that from 5 different perspectives, which could, for example, be how I use hashtags in my own business. It might be how celebrities or real market leaders use hashtags, or if they create their own hashtags. It might be a statistic around hashtags. It could be a myth buster around hashtags as well. And then you could add maybe a testimonial or success story. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've actually got the opportunities to add lots of different angles around exactly the same topic, but told from different perspectives. So suddenly you've gone from 1 day's worth of content to 5 days worth of content. And suddenly you don't have enough days to deliver all this valuable information to your audience, which is really, really exciting place to be.
Yeah, brilliant. And so many of those examples that you used there in terms of, my point of view, a client's point of view, what does the research have to say, what's a myth around, all four of those at
Yeah,
least would work really great for spine, posture, headaches, all that kind of stuff. They would
perfect.
all work from there as well, where the content, once you start to kind of get into this, it's interesting. I know with many of the people that I coach, they go from this stage of being overwhelmed with how do I come up with content to then overwhelmed because of the volume of content that they can have. And then it's a matter of, and it's wonderful, as soon as you get yourself into some of these frameworks, they're just kind of beautiful ones there as well.
Yeah.
So the first C, to go back to, it was all about content that you talked about. What do we do here? The second C is what?
Yeah. The second C is consistency. And you touched upon earlier the probably one of the first questions that you asked, I think, which is people in the past, maybe people who listen to this podcast in the past have dived in with social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, different platforms, and perhaps haven't seen those results as quickly as we might hope, and therefore we thought it's not working. I'm going to park that and I'm going to go back to what I know, and that isn't unfamiliar at all. With so many things, but ultimately it's we reap what we sow. And consistency, being consistent, turning up every single day, delivering on, and again, this goes beyond Instagram, way beyond Instagram, but in all aspects of the business, but certainly within your social media, is being consistent, not just with your message, but with how often you are posting, how often you're sharing content. Are you doing a story, every day? Are you doing a live video, say, every week? But the idea of consistently posting every single day is absolutely vital. If you can do that, it builds reliability with your audience, and reliability leads to trust. And I know that in just a couple of episodes ago on your podcast, Angus, you talked about that process from know, like, and trust, and or awareness, know, like, and trust, and then people purchasing from you and doing business with you. And it could not be more true with consistency. It's something that we take for granted. It's so small that you're just posting once a day, every single day. It sounds so easy, or it sounds simple, but it's not necessarily easy. But just finding that consistency is absolutely vital to build reliability and then build trust. And a way that I would suggest doing that is looking at scheduling tools. I'm a huge advocate of Instagram, but Instagram is specifically designed, as many social media platforms are, to keep us there and distract us. And so remove that from, if you're using it for business, remove that temptation. The average time spent on Instagram today is about 53 minutes per day, which is massive. And the last thing that you, any of your listeners want to do is spend 53 minutes a day on Instagram when we've all got a business to run. So instead, I would suggest looking at tools such as Hootsuite is a great one, Buffer. My personal favorite is called Sked Social, which I actually think is based in Australia. I think they're in Melbourne. And Sked Social allows you to schedule posts, and also I believe is leaning into stories now as well, which is incredibly powerful. So I'd highly recommend anybody listening, if you want that to build that consistency, but you don't want to be in the platform every day, that something like Sked Social I think would work really well for that. So that's the second C, and that's consistency.
Yeah, I've am new to the kind of scheduling tool. Maybe the last 2 months, I'm kind of running an experiment, because I got stuck before, particularly with my Instagram and Facebook, of these kind of ebbs and flows. I'd be on it, and then it would happen, and then I would kind of disappear for a little while, and then back and forwards. And then I went, you know what, let me give one of these kind of scheduling tools a go, which on a Monday morning now, when I'm doing it slowly, it takes me 90 minutes, but most time it's probably closer to 45 minutes. I can plan 3 posts a day. So that's, 21 posts a week there as well. And there's a couple of interesting things that have happened there too. My engagement has gone through the roof. There's no doubt about that. My engagement and interaction there too. Interestingly, and I'd like your kind of take on this too, there hasn't been massive amounts of growth. And whether that be that, my use of hashtags or those kind of things like that too. But my interaction with people, the conversations I'm having, and all those kind of things, which are incredibly valuable for me. So by itself, it's a winner there as well. So there are some conversations around that say that when you use third-party scheduling or scheduling apps there too, that it does decrease engagement. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's there is. I mean, there's that argument. There are so many different things that I've heard. Scheduling tools reduces your engagement. If you share directly from Instagram to Facebook, it reduces your engagement on Facebook. Um, I haven't actually seen anything that suggests that, sort of cold hard facts. Now, that may be something that Instagram and Facebook are aware of. It's certainly worth a test. I mean, you could do, say, 1 month of using a scheduling tool like that, and then perhaps 1 month where you let's say either you're scheduling yourself, you're posting yourself, or you have maybe an outsourcer or somebody in the team doing that for you. Is it really worth that? Probably not. And I would actually say that the more important thing is sharing content on a regular basis, and then you showing up and having, as you say, it's the conversations, it's the responses to comments on your posts, it's the direct messages that people are sending to you and you're responding to, it's the comments on your stories. That is, for me, it's far more valuable than sort of necessarily worrying about the engagement and such. I feel, but I think just having that consistent content going out, I think, is an absolute winner for you.
Yeah, I figured this. I had to think about it and went, you know what? By using the scheduling tools, I'm posting 2,000 or 3,000% more than what I was more consistently. And if it leads to a 10% decrease in engagement, I'm still miles ahead. So so from that point of view, and then what I found was interesting, because when I was doing a bit of research on this, people say that all the time. The only test I know that's been done out of it, there's a podcast called Social Media Lab, and they actually ran a month's test. They compared them back to back across multiple accounts there too. And what they actually showed, it was statistically insignificant, but they actually showed that when they were doing it through the scheduling app there too, I can't forget which one they tested, but they actually got more reach and engagement there as well. So, you know, I think we hear these stories being thrown around the internet. We hear things like email is dead. You know, we hear things like these social media apps don't kind of, you know, allow for scheduling there too. It's good to sometimes do a little bit of research and kind of look in and see, is there some truth to that? Are we just perpetuating a story that goes around as well? So it's been a massive benefit for me from those point of views as well. You've touched on hashtags a couple of times. How do we use hashtags? Maybe even some of the generation of listeners to this too might be like me and might not be kind of Gen Z or Y there as well. What are hashtags? How do we use them? Why do we use them? And what sort of hashtags might be effective for us as small local businesses?
Sure. So hashtags, I suppose the best way of describing hashtags is you can add a hashtag to, so when you put out a post on Instagram, which would be a photo or video, and then with that photo or video, you can add a caption, so a written description to support the photo or video. And then you can also add what we call hashtags. And hashtags are, they're almost like buckets of different content. It's kind of the way I would best describe it. It's not necessarily the easiest way to describe, but they're almost like separate buckets of content, and they you can hashtag pretty much anything now. So you could have a specific word or specific topic, and that what essentially collates a group of content which is all around the same topic. So the great thing that I love about hashtags is that they are the easiest way for you to reach a global audience with your content. I think the statistic is something like, just by adding one hashtag to your posts, you increase your engagement by about 12%. Now on Instagram, you can add up to 30 hashtags per post. And for those listeners that are a bit more advanced and they're using stories, you can add up to 11 hashtags in stories. You can also add hashtags for users who are using Instagram TV. You can add clickable hashtags in your Instagram TV captions as well. I would certainly suggest using hashtags in every single post. As I say, the maximum is 30. For me, use 30. Okay. There's again, coming back to what you mentioned before about testing and should you use less, should you use more? Some people say you should only use 10. Some people say 5. Again, for me, I would say 30. It's like if somebody was offering you 1 lottery ticket or 30 lottery tickets, how many would you take? you take 30, because it gives you 30 opportunities to be seen in various different platforms or different places on the Instagram platform. So 30 hashtags will be my personal recommendation. Where to find them or how to source them, the first thing I'd say is I understand the value of them. So I created something called the hashtag playbook, which is the top 50 hashtags in the 67 biggest industries on Instagram. So if anybody listening wants to get hold of that, simply send me I'm sure we could probably put a link in here, or send me a message on Instagram, and I can certainly direct you to where that is, and it's extremely useful. But even, a simpler way of getting started with using hashtags, I would come back again to looking at the market leaders within your space. I can't, particularly when getting started, I can't emphasize this enough. We're not reinventing the wheel. Model what works. And if you're, say, a chiropractor or natural healing business, and you're coming onto Instagram, say, for the first time, or you're coming back to Instagram having not used it for a while, get out there and, in the search bar, and just look at other businesses, other users within your niche, within your market, within your space, and how do they lay out not just their posts and their captions, but what hashtags are they using? And you can start to get inspiration by them modeling the same hashtags, using the same hashtags, to at least get you started as you begin to become more comfortable with the platform. And then you can start to do a bit more research of your own with regards what works as well. The opportunity, just finally on that, to create either use a local hashtag. So if there's one local to your area, so hashtag the name of the city, so hashtag Sydney, hashtag Melbourne, hashtag Adelaide, Brisbane, wherever you may be, wherever your practice may be, is a really, really great tool for that as well. And just also to give people the opportunity, I would add on there adding a location. So as well as adding your hashtags, you can actually add the location where you are for when you post the picture or when you post the video. And anybody who is adding the location, again, that will show up in the local area, so people know that you are the business to go to within your local area as well.
So this is where, Jake, I get a little confused. So, inside of my practice, I've chosen a bunch of hashtags, and then how those hashtags will help me be found. Like, are people searching for hashtags? Like, how does my hashtag in here help me show up in your feed, for instance? Because my understanding is I'm only going to show up in your feed as if you like follow my page. What am I missing out here?
So hashtags, introduced, again, I think it was around 18 months or so ago, Instagram brought in the opportunity where people could actually follow hashtags, which was totally new, because it means that you're not just now following accounts, you're not just following people or brands or businesses, but you're actually following specific topics, if you like. And if you look for anybody going into Instagram now, when you go to the home or search page on Instagram, it gives you a variety of topics, sport, humor, TV, all these different topics that you can zone into and you can go and take a look at. Now, there are, believe it or not, and there will be people who are following specific hashtags, but there will be people not necessarily following them, but they will search for them as well. And what you're likely to do is, if you're using the hashtags that your audience uses, if you're using the hashtags that your clients and customers use, then chances are that they're going to start to appear, maybe not necessarily in their feed, but when they are adding them to their own posts, when they're clicking on them within their own posts, and they start to see more of those, you will appear within the feed as well. So actually really trying to get in the mindset of your user, or I should say your client or your customer. What type of hashtags are they using? Because as soon as you can drill into that, it's going to allow you, again, another opportunity to show up within their search. One other thing that I would add to that is, the more specific you can be in a way, the better. Probably the most used hashtag on Instagram is hashtag love, which if anybody types in love or hashtag love on Instagram, and you see the top most recent post, as soon as you refresh the page, you get a whole raft of new posts, because it's used so frequently that the turnover of posts with that hashtag it's just constant. So chances of you being seen by people using a really, really common hashtag are very unlikely. On the other hand, if you find something that's perhaps a little bit more obscure, a little bit more niche, then it gives you the opportunity to use that within your post, and your content will stay around for a lot longer in that area. So yes, it's a lot more niche, it's a lot more narrow, but people who are using that are going to be very, very specifically interested in that topic. So actually, when people do click on there, when they do find you through that very, very narrow or specific hashtag, which perhaps isn't used very often, you know that they're going to be, or ideally, that they're going to be a really, really good candidate for a potential client or customer for your business.
And so, Jake, should that hashtag does it need to be related? So if I'm in the health space and I find out that, for instance, there's a hashtag and my brain is struggling to come up with the name of one that might not be, it might be more lifestyle related or something else related rather than health related there too. Am I okay to use those ones, or should I really be sticking to hashtags that are, more health related? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does, absolutely. And I would fully agree. I think going in with hashtags that link to, say, the feeling, the emotion, the mood, so to speak, but also they can be a bit more lighthearted as well. I don't think that's a problem at all. If anything, that's going to expand the potential for who you're engaging with. Again, other real common ones, something like hashtag Throwback Thursday, okay, or hashtag TBT, Throwback Thursday, which is a real popular hashtag on, of course, Thursdays. If let's say any single one or any single person listening to the podcast today could use that hashtag, yes, it's extremely popular. But you could be referencing, say, something that happened, say, a year ago when you opened a new part of the practice, or when you opened the practice for the first time, or when you met. It could be that you were working with a specific sports team, for example, or you had a retreat that you ran, or you attended a training program. But it gives you a great opportunity to have a bigger, ultimately sort of a bigger picture and grab people's attention in a totally different way, rather than just being business focused or necessarily health focused, but focusing more on the bigger picture, the emotion, the feeling associated with that picture as well.
Got it. And so a couple of the hashtags that I follow, for instance, hashtag chiropractor. And that, I'm just thinking for our audience, that might be a really great way for you to see some other practices that are doing really great things for you to start to model as well. How does Instagram decide which, because there's multiple people that are putting hashtag chiropractic and they don't all appear in my feed. Is it just the ones that get the most engagement, likes, comments, shares that make their way into my feed? Or how does Instagram decide which hashtag to put in my feed when I'm following it?
Yeah, it's this comes down to the algorithm, which is which for me to even begin to try and explain it, I'd say would be almost impossible. Ultimately, because I don't know, and it's something that is constantly talked about. Funnily, particularly with Instagram, I find it's every 6 months or so there'll be this big thing. The Instagram algorithm's changed, and everybody talks about it, but nobody really knows what that means. Until we get the release from Instagram itself as to what the changes are. Ultimately, what Instagram does is it's looking for popular content, or it's looking for content which is getting a lot of engagement, which is likes and comments in a short space of time. Again, I think you alluded to this on one of your previous episodes where you talked about Facebook and how Facebook pages now, Facebook actually only shows about 4, 5, 6% of your audience, your post, if you're not boosting it. And it's similar with Instagram in the sense that Instagram will show your post. When you post on Instagram, it doesn't go to every single one of your followers. It will be shown to a small percentage of your followers. And then if that percentage of your followers who see it, they like and engage with it, and it's deemed by Instagram's algorithm to be something of note that people want to see, then it will share it to more people. I think as most people would be aware, the whole purpose of social media and Instagram and Facebook and all these other platforms is to keep people there for as long as possible. And the way that they keep people there is by giving them more content that they want to see. So high quality content that other people want to see, which gets a lot of likes, a lot of comments in a short space of time, after being posted, Instagram deems that as being quality content, so it's going to show it to more and more of your followers, and then a wider audience as well.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's wind our way up with the third C as well. So we've talked about first being content, second being consistency. Our third C that we should be focusing on with our Instagram strategy?
Yeah, so the third C is community. And Instagram, I think, prides itself on its sense of community. It has a very different feel to other platforms, I think. There are other platforms out there where it's kind of a lot sort of shorter, snappier comments, maybe little quips here and there, and they can almost turn sour quite quickly, I think. Instagram doesn't really feel like that at all. It feels very positive. It feels like a nice place to be. And the community works in a couple of ways. The community works in the sense of engaging with your community, in that it's the people that you want to attract as clients and customers. So that may be a case of outreach or networking with people that you want to do business with, that you want to engage with, and you want to connect with, ideally to bring them into your business, your practice. But also community is I would suggest, is helping you grow and build your brand. And that doesn't necessarily have to be with the people that you want to attract as clients and customers, but it could be, say, with joint venture partners. It could be with people who are a natural fit to help you move your business to the next level. Now, for myself, with my clients, I always recommend that they look for and try to connect with businesses in the same niche or same market as them, or similar niche and similar market as them, and start a dialogue with them and sort of almost support each other with their growth. Which sounds crazy, the idea of supporting other businesses with their growth and things, it sounds crazy, but with Instagram, it works really, really well. And actually what that kind of has bred is something called engagement groups. So what you will find with an engagement group is that an engagement group is a number of Instagram accounts who all work together. Now, ideally, they're all within the same space, the same niche, the same business area. Ideally, not always. And what will happen is that they will work together to help each other grow. So if, let's say, for example, I post something from my Instagram account, then everybody within the same engagement as me, or engagement group as me, once I've posted, they would all go to my post, they would like my post, they would comment on my post, and then all of a sudden, Instagram sees that and they think, hang on a minute, we've got a real piece of quality here, let's show it to more people. And then the snowball effect starts. So another real big way of supporting your growth and supporting the growth of your brand and building your authority on Instagram is the community of people that you're going to be working alongside, almost joint venturing with, to help your growth and help build your brand as well. And for me, I think it's without doubt the best way that you can grow, using engagement groups and finding one or two partners, either the same size as you or maybe slightly bigger than you, who will promote your content and mention your account as somebody worth following.
We've had great results with this, Jake, and found we just had a new practitioner start with us recently, and it was rather than kind of cold calling, knocking on doors and saying, hi, I'm Angus, a new chiropractor in town. It's so much easier to, okay, look, those sort of businesses for us, for instance, are local Pilates studios, yoga, massage, gyms, those kind of things there too. We can make our way over to the Instagram feed. We can start to comment. We can start to build some dialogue through there. Then through there, we can lead to a DM that says, hey, do you want to get together and have a coffee? And then we can get together and have a coffee. And then it leads to us saying, hey, listen, can we do a live video from here as well? And all of a sudden, what starts from there, it's a really organic and authentic type sort of way for us to build relationships. But I've never thought about it actually being so planned as saying, okay, here's our strategy with regards to, I'll keep an eye out when you're posting. Can you keep it? Let's keep that kind of stuff. I love it. That's worth the price of admission. Absolutely. So wonderful. So in summary, those 3 C's that we've kind of talked about too are really all about content, creating great content that's memorable, that's valuable to your audience. That I still like this idea. I can't believe I've never heard of social media as opposed to social media before there as well. So content that's valuable to your audience there as well. Consistency. And I think too, if you can't post once a day, then you're not really serious about it. It's it's not that hard. And then if you want to take it to the next step and, get one of the, the scheduling tools that we've talked about, I use Tailwind is the one that I've been using as well. It's, I kind of did a bit of research as well. The one that you mentioned that you used was called Scared Social. Is that right?
Yeah, Scared Social is the one that I use. Again, there's many out there. That's my personal preference. But as I say, for people that are serious about it, but also don't want the distraction of being sucked into Instagram, as soon as you go in there to post, but you see people's holiday photos or that video of the cute kitten falling down the stairs or whatever it might be, the things that are designed to hold us there, to remove all of that and just focus on sharing quality content that other people want to see to continue to grow and build your brand. I think looking at a scheduling software makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's been a no-brainer for me as well. So I'll put a couple of links in there for people to go and have a look at them as well. And then finally, this kind of idea about community, to remember that it is a social platform. That's what it is there too. And you kind of mentioned right back at the very beginning is that sales don't happen on social media. Relationships are built, and marketing, if we kind of look at marketing as relationship building as well. So Jake, any kind of final words to kind of leave our audience with as well? I know that you have a couple of trainings and other courses and stuff that might be valuable as well. Can you share a little bit of that also?
Yeah, sure. So probably the easiest place for anybody who would like a little bit more information on this or a bit more support and training and such, I've got a free training on my website, which is really how to build your authority on Instagram and actually convert or build an audience on Instagram that converts. So irrespective of the niche, irrespective of the business area, even if you don't have any experience with Instagram, you've never used the platform before, all the way up to people who are using it on a regular basis, but they're just looking for different strategies, different techniques, that maybe that one little golden nugget that they didn't know previously. So you can find that on my website. It's jakeadamdavey.com/Instagalactic. And I'm sure, no doubt, Angus, you'll pop the link in the show notes.
I'll make sure there's some links for that one as well. So I love it.
Thank you. But yeah, please certainly go and take a look at that. As I said, it's a free training that you're more than welcome to go and take a look at. And of course, just find me on Instagram as well, at jakeadamdavey. Send me a message, give me a follow, send me a message, let me know what you're doing. If you're, again, brand new to the platform, just getting started, or again, if you've been using it for a long time, you're looking for some new ideas, fresh ideas, or there's some specific question, I'd love to help. As I say, it's all about networking with people, engaging with people, and the more that I can support people grow their business and help others, then the better.
Yeah, beautiful. Jake, on behalf of the Marketing Your Practice podcast, thanks for being so incredibly generous today. I'm also super bullish on Instagram. I think it has all the lovely things that Facebook used to have before it did have that tendency to get a little bit feral as well. I think it's such a lovely visual medium, which works so perfectly for us as kind of natural health practitioners as well. So, gang, I'll have all the links for where you can go and follow Jake. Now there's the Adam in there too, where you can follow Jake and have a look at his content as well. And I'll make sure I pop in that link also, Jake, for the hashtags that you mentioned as well, because that sounds like a really great tool as well. So, buddy, from all the way down here in Australia, thanks so much for being so incredibly generous. And I look forward to reaching out and chatting with you again soon. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now you can join me on over at adiomedia.com/join. That's adiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there. Hey gang, Angus back here again. At the end of the podcast, Jake and I got chatting and he was telling me a little bit about a course that he has. He has a wonderful Instagram course called Instagalactic. So if you really enjoyed what Jake had to say today, if you're wanting to kind of dive a little deeper into this whole Instagram thing and work out how you can kind of grow your reach, then I'm going to suggest that you check out Jake's course. Now, Instagalactic kind of goes through everything that you need to do to increase your reach. You've also got some really great hand holding that happens from Jake too. And it's an insane price. It's like $297. And Jake is also giving our listeners, you guys, 20% off. So there'll be a coupon code somewhere that you can put in there, and I want you to use podcast20, so podcast20, and that'll give you 20% off. Now, so somewhere in around the show notes, I'll have a link to the course. So in short, if you really liked what Jake had to say, if you wanted to kind of accelerate your growth with Instagram, I think it's a fantastic platform, particularly if you're looking after people in that kind of 18 to 34 range, because that's where they are. And if you love the platform, then dive deep into it, because I think it'll be a winner for you. And I think Jake's stuff is just spot on as well. Anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. See you soon. Bye.